So one of the things that I like to talk about today is the relationship between having no uh, using no shoulder rest and your left hand. So I grew up playing with at first like one of those life raft looking things, and then to a kun rest, which I think is probably 100 years old at this point. It's the little claw that goes there, got a bar. Basically, it's even though there's not much resonance that's lost, it tries to make as little contact with the fiddle as possible. You've seen them, I'm sure. Um, and I stopped using those largely because of something that the violinist uh, Ricci said, that the violin should be really held like a guitar, and it should be sort of held in the hand, optimally sort of in third position, a la Paganini, and then you can just extend up and down the fiddle. So it's not necessarily like sitting in your lap like a guitar, but it's just holding it like a guitar, but just under your chin. So now the modern setup is just like the chin. I can't even do it because it would hurt my neck. The chin is just like clenching, and you have a spacer that's just like holding it there, and it's trivial just to like move your left hand, and you're free. You're a la trombone. It's you can just play it like a trombone. So you're just like up and down, and this contradicts what Ricci was saying, which is to be more like a guitar, a la Paganini, and just zipping up and down. So what happens when you get rid of your your shoulder rest? I keep wanting to call it chin rest, but it's shoulder rest. Now this is the chin rest, obviously. Um, what happens is your left hand. There's a big trade-off, obviously. Your left hand can be very free, but also an intelligence is sort of gained with your left hand in how your thumb works with your mobility. So, it's been 10 years since I've used a, a shoulder rest, but I do remember that it was a very passive thumb. And now when I'm using no shoulder rest, my thumb is basically the most intelligent thing going on in my apparatus. So I want to say a lot going on with the right hand. Obviously, this is the optimal. This is the ultimate um, skill is your right hand. But I would say the most sophisticated part of your system, I would say, is your left thumb, um, and very much so when you have no shoulder rest employed any longer. So, what do I mean by that? Well, if you hold the instrument in your hand and you're zipping up and down, your thumb has to sort of support at moments, not all the time. So, say you're in a passage that's first position or third position, you're just crawling around, doing some extensions. Your thumb can be pretty passive, but when you're pulling your hand down the instrument, you can't really like kind of cock your head at that moment just to like hold the instrument while you move your left hand. Your thumb has to sort of lead and get kind of smart on how it kind of grips the fiddle and then kind of throws your wrist. And this, after hours and hours of practicing, it's second nature what happens. But if you notice, what happens to your thumb is it's kind of darting around like you're well, I have an analogy. It's like your fingers are kind of stupid what they do. I mean, they can go wide, they can create shapes, but they're kind of like teeth. And your thumb is very much like a tongue. It's just like a tongue. It's so smart what it's doing. It's just like very nuanced. It's predicting where it wants to be. It's kind of pushing your fingers to the exact position it needs to be. And I do remember though, like with the shoulder rest, your thumb doesn't do much. It's just kind of sits there. You can kind of put in the crotch of your hand. I mean, I've seen that. I remember Corey Sorobchek has a really, or he did. I don't know if he does anymore. He just kind of cradled the instrument with this thumb sticking way up in the air, and it didn't do anything. And then I think what happens when you don't have a shoulder rest is your thumb is in all kinds of places. So it can be usually resting under here to support the fiddle, like this. The fiddle would kind of just fall without that. And then when you're doing some, double stops or something like that, where it has to be, you have to be very free. You can put your thumb pretty high. So there's all kinds of things that your thumb ends up doing. So it doesn't really change the color of the sound, which is, what we really all care about is the sonority and the tone and the colors. But as far as the technique, I think getting rid of your shoulder rest, at least for, I don't know, half a year to a year, just to see what happens. You don't want to get injured. If you're feeling like, oh, my shoulder and my neck starting to really hurt, stop, slow down, try to figure out what's going on. I use this enormous extended chin rest. You might think that kind of negates the whole point, right? But it doesn't. The shoulder rest definitely makes the instrument just sit on your shoulder. It doesn't move. The chin rest is just, you need to put your head somewhere. So it's not like it's not holding the instrument necessarily. It's just your head just can't be a la Oistrakh, just kind of doing nothing. I like to have it sort of engaged. But yeah, play around with that if you want to sort of discover a new dimension to your left hand technique. You might have some changes in your vibrato, but then you'll if you have an ear for it, you'll know how to turn your wrist slightly to get your old vibrato back and things like that. Just one note, I mean, some of the downsides are crawling downwards with the fiddle. There's really, like I said, with the thumb leading, there's almost no disadvantage when you have a shoulder rest and you're crawling down the instrument. It's just so darn easy. There is a little bit of a downside when you're crawling down the instrument without a shoulder rest, and even though your thumb is hedging a little bit and crawling ahead of your fingers in order to stabilize the instrument, there is sort of a feeling of uneasiness. So let's say a third of your time you're crawling down the instrument, a third you're stationary, a third you're going up. I don't know, probably not the right numbers, but yeah, there is sort of a trade-off of going down the instrument. So just keep that in mind, that that's going to be a little uncomfortable. Yeah, I just thought I'd share that about the thumb and the shoulder rest and how it interplays and what that can do for your technique and your artistic expression.